All right, team. Midweek update, and we are reversing several of yesterday's pivots based on updated ownership, matchup context, and the latest news flow. We are moving back to quarterback Jalen Hurts at 6,700. Dash rank 100, projected 21, 22 fantasy points per game, with 30 and 8 in his last two. And only 5.17% ownership. He draws Tampa Bay, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall with an opponent rank of 16. We noted yesterday that Josh Allen offered leverage with a clean stack, but Hurts at sub 6% with his dual-threat ceiling is the sharper tournament angle. The news is split but actionable. Essentially, sports ran a warning that Todd Bowles has kept Hurts in check, and he is 1-4 versus the Bucs. Yet another piece backed his Super Bowl pedigree and current form. With ownership depressed and projections solid, we take the ceiling at a discount and embrace the volatility. Running back, we are pivoting back to James Cook at 7,100. Dash rank 100, projected 17, 25 fantasy points per game, with 24 and 1 in his last two, and projected ownership is basically zero. He faces New Orleans, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 25. We moved off Cook yesterday when we built around Allen and Kincaid, but as we shift back to Hurts, Cook becomes a strong one off exposure to Buffalo's backfield at low ownership. Sportsline's model, driven coverage, has repeatedly highlighted Bills' pieces in season simulations, and Cook's ability to rack points through multiple avenues elevates his floor in a soft overall defensive matchup. At wide receiver, we are returning to Nico Collins at 7,400. Dash rank 100, projected 17, 15 fantasy points per game, with 26 and 6 in his last two and around 11% ownership. He gets Tennessee, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 24. We pivoted to Quentin Johnston yesterday to attack the Giants at a friendlier price, but Collins's target earning profile, plus a favorable overall matchup, puts the spike week right back in play. Mike McClure's DFS picks piece name-checked him early in the season, and the Week 3 line shows the ceiling is intact. Tight end, we are undoing the Kincaid correlation and moving back to Brock Bowers at 5,800. Dash rank 100, projected 14, 12 fantasy points per game with 10 and 18 in his last two, and 21.73% ownership. He draws Chicago, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 31. Yesterday, we preferred the low-owned Allen Kincaid stack. Today, with Hurts at quarterback, Bowers becomes our primary tight end because the volume and athleticism are there, and the overall matchup is soft. Coverage around the Raiders-Chargers tilt and the early season write-ups underline Bowers' growing role, and his family athletic profile piece reinforces the outlier traits we are betting on. For the flex, we are pivoting back to Omarion Hampton at 5,900. Dash rank 100, projected 16, 12 fantasy points per game with 25 and 2 in his last two and 9.33% ownership. He faces the Giants, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 29. We moved to Keenan Allen yesterday to double dip on a friendly secondary, but Hampton's recent breakout and the rookie running back storyline against a soft overall defense put his touch count in a range that can outkick this salary. The Monday Night Podcast and game recaps highlighting the Chargers' momentum after beating the Chiefs support the idea that the offense sustains drives and affords Hampton red zone chances. Defense, we are moving back to the Panthers at 2,500. Dash rank 100, projected 6, ownership 6.43%, with 22 and 2 in the last two. They get New England, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 30. We flipped to the Texans yesterday for a pressure upside, but the salary savings here are meaningful, and the Panthers have demonstrated splash playability. At this price, we accept volatility for lineup flexibility. Value lane now. Quarterback Jackson Dart at 4,500 is back in, after yesterday's Bryce Young pivot. Dash rank 100, projected 16, ownership 5.6%, facing the Chargers, who have a tough defense overall with an opponent rank of 5. Projection reliability note for quarterbacks applies here because he has not started at least 3 games, so we treat the 16 as noisy and play him strictly as a salary unlock. The Giants' decision to start Dart and bench the veteran was covered widely, and the Giants' QB coach praising his steady personality suggests a composed first start, even in a tough matchup. Value running back Dare Ogunbowale at 4,000 is a pure punt. Dash rank 43, projected 1-1 fantasy point per game with 0 and 4 in his last 2, and 0.03% ownership. He draws Tennessee, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 24. The recent feature revisiting his emergency kicking cameo is a fun reminder that he is versatile. But from a DFS standpoint, you are betting on a roll blip at MIN salary only. Value wide receiver Dante Thornton Jr. at 3,900 is viable. Dash rank 54, projected 5 fantasy points per game with 5 and 7 in his last 2, and essentially 0 ownership. He also faces Chicago, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 31. As a secondary piece alongside Bowers, he offers cheap correlation in a soft overall matchup. Value tight end Noah Gray at 2,700 remains a reasonable punt. Dash rank 50, projected 2.8% ownership, drawing Baltimore, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 30. The recent profiles on Gray's development in Kansas City remind us he is involved enough to capitalize if coverage tilts away, making him a fine salary saver on slates where you do not spend at tight end. Value flex Braxton Berrios at 3,000 is a deep tournament dart only. Dash rank 54, projected 1% ownership, facing Tennessee, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 24. The reports note he has yet to play this season, which underscores the risk. He is a lineup construction tool more than a projection play. Basement defense. The Saints at 2,000 are a thin pivot. Dash rank 1, projected 1.27% ownership against Buffalo, who have a tough defense overall with an opponent rank of 2. This is a pure salary-based variance play when you need the savings. To recap the changes from yesterday's video, we are moving off Josh Allen and back to Jalen Hurts for ceiling at sub 6% with a middle-of-the-pack defensive matchup. Flipping from Quinshon Judkins back to James Cook to gain low-owned exposure to Buffalo against one of the worst overall defenses, switching from Quentin Johnston to Nico Collins to re-attack a soft overall Tennessee matchup. Undoing Dalton Kincaid to return to Brock Bowers with Chicago's weak overall rank, restoring Omarion Hampton into the flex to lean into the Chargers' momentum versus a soft Giants overall defense, and pivoting Texans D back to Panthers D for salary leverage. In the value pool, we move from Bryce Young back to Jackson Dart given the starting news and price. Keep Noah Gray in place as the punt, and note Thornton and Berrios as thin salary darts with overall favorable opponent ranks. News-wise, the Hurts coverage around Todd Bowles' history and the analyst backing his championship pedigree, Sportsline's machine learning angle on Bill's skill pieces, McClure's WR notes early in the season on Collins, the Raiders-Chargers features highlighting Bowers' rise, and the Chargers rookie running back storyline for Hampton all support these adjustments.